Hi, it's Paul here from selfhelpforlife.com, and today I'm going to talk about the coronavirus helping you go from fear to hope. Now, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. We've all been forced to change and adapt in ways that we probably never thought we could. There's a lot of uncertainty at the moment. We're not really sure what's happening. Many of us, including myself, are very much living day by day at the moment, just appreciating every day and just doing all the right things to look after ourselves and trying to keep a sense of calm as much as possible. Now, to help you during this crazy and challenging time, I have created a coronavirus checklist. This is a list of simple things that you can do to protect yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically during this very difficult time. And to get hold of it, go to selfhelpforlife.com/coronavirus, or click the first link in the description below, or if you're listening on the podcast, it will also be the first link in the show notes. And besides getting the checklist, you'll get regular emails from me, tips, advice, positive news stories, and potentially a little bit of humor as well to help you get through this. So we're going to get through this together. So what seems to be driving this hysteria at the moment is basically fear. When you think about it, it all really comes down to fear. And there are only really three main types of fear. The first one being a fear of death. So a fear that we could actually die from this. The real physical threat to our survival. So the second one is a fear of loss. So we survive this, but someone else doesn't. And this could be maybe your parents, could be loved ones, it could be friends or colleagues. And then another fear of loss is that we become broke as a result of this, or we end up with a much lower standard of living. So this could be because you're a business owner and you fear that maybe you go out of business, maybe you fear that you're going to be made redundant. And another type of loss could be just the creature comforts. Maybe we're going to lose some of the things that we cherish and we enjoy so much at the moment. So the third fear is a fear of not being able to cope. So not being able to change and adapt to the new challenges that we're now all going through. These could be the extreme cleanliness, maybe not feeling that we're good enough or be able to do all that, remember to do all the things that we now need to do. Maybe it's just dealing with the supermarket queues. Maybe it's the fact that you're now working from home and you're dealing with the technology that's around that. Or it could also be the fact that you're also working from home and you've now got the kids at home with you. And how do you keep them busy? Maybe it's about how do you explain this whole coronavirus thing to young children? There's all these things now that we're forced to do that maybe we fear we're not good enough to do. So it's a fear about what you might have to face or do differently. And what the coronavirus outbreak is doing at the moment is it's getting us all out of our comfort zone. Okay, which is actually a good thing. There's actually a lot of positive things that are coming from this, and maybe that's a subject of another video. Another thing that we fear is that we don't like the feelings that we're getting from this. I don't know about you, but I've been going through a real emotional roller coaster. Some days when I've actually been quite enjoying the solitude and having a bit extra free time at the moment, and other days where I'm like lots of what if questions and I'm thinking, where is this going to lead? So lots of ups and downs at the moment. And a lot of people just don't like those feelings. And we don't like what we need to do. So there's things that we now need to do that we just don't like to, we don't want to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cover 8 ways to help you move from fear to hope. So the first way is to reduce news time. How much time at the moment are you spending on watching the news or reading the news on the internet? Is it you doing it every hour? Are you doing it 3 or 4 times a day? Are you doing it once a day? Are you checking every 5 minutes? And the same goes for social media as well. Now imagine the most relaxed person you know. Imagine a Buddhist monk. Imagine this Buddhist monk, and imagine that you give him an iPad with some headphones in it and you basically give him all the news constantly for 6 hours. How do you think that Buddhist monk is going to be after 6 hours? He's probably going to be quite jaded, quite affected in some way. So even the most relaxed, chilled person, if you subject them to constant news, it's going to have some effect on their mental health. It can't be any other way. So think about that. Or what about if you've got a notification on your phone every time someone died in a car accident? You probably get one in a minute's time, get another one a minute later. After an hour, you would know about 60 car accidents where people had died. How would that affect you? Would that stop you getting in your car and driving? Quite likely, I reckon. So think about it that way. So going back to the news, what is the purpose of a news channel or a news website? Well, it's to make money. They're a business. How do they do that? Well, they write news stories that are captivating to read. And often they do that by promoting a fear response. So they make you feel like you've got to read this article to find out what's going on, so you're not missing out in some way. So journalists are very good at doing that. Why do they want as many people as possible to read their news stories? Because that way the adverts that they have around them, more people click on them or view them, and they make more money that way. So newspapers are designed to make money, and they will do that by writing the best news stories that captivate people the most. And a lot of the time they do that via fear. So just remember that. So if you think about the cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT model of how the mind works, they say that you have a situation that then generates thoughts, that generates feelings, and then causes you to take action or not take action. Okay, so the news is a situation. So bad news is going to lead to negative thoughts, that's going to lead to anxiety and fear feelings, and that's going to lead to negative actions or inaction in some way. What I recommend regarding news is to firstly consciously decide which news sites you're going to follow. And what I've found works best is to actually get the information from the source, which is the health site, so the World Health Organization, or CDC if you're in the US, or whatever your national health website is. So the second decision on news is how often. How often are you going to check the news? Now this will depend on your level of anxiety and fear around the coronavirus at the moment. You know, if you're actually looking after someone that's got the coronavirus, maybe someone who's quite elderly, maybe you feel there's a need to check in more regularly. At the moment, I'm checking in about once or twice a day, so in the mornings and in the evenings. You might want to check in more often than that. I would probably say that at the very maximum every 3 hours. I think if you're checking like every hour, that's probably not helpful. Although things are happening very fast at the moment, not a lot would change in a 3-hour period. And then the final decision to make is how long. So if you're checking in every 3 hours, how long are you going to spend doing that? Is it going to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour? If you're checking in twice daily, again, is it 15 minutes, half hour each time you do that? So make that a conscious decision. What most people don't do is make it conscious. They just check the news randomly whenever they think about it, but they don't make it something that they're doing consciously. So I encourage you to do that. So that leads to the second way to help you move from fear to hope, and that is to match your news time with personal development time. So if you spent a total of 1 hour checking the news, then do 1 hour of personal development time. So that's going to balance your mindset and your emotions. So you could do lots of things in that. You could watch personal development videos, you could listen to podcasts. I have over 75 YouTube videos and podcast episodes now, so there's a good way to start. You could binge watch those for the next few weeks. You could read personal development books. You could work on any online courses you purchase. There's so many things you could do, but the important thing is that you match that news time with something that's positive, something that's going to fuel your mind in a positive way, and it's going to help you reduce the anxiety and stress that this is causing at the moment. So the third way is to look for positive news stories about the coronavirus and COVID-19. So when you're on Google, you know, if you type in coronavirus hysteria or coronavirus havoc, then of course you're going to get lots of negative stories coming up. But if you type in coronavirus healing or coronavirus positive news stories, then you're going to get a different set of results. Now, one great website you can go to is called goodnewsnetwork.org. So goodnewsnetwork.org. And I'll post a link in the description to that website and an article they did on the coronavirus actually, which had a lot of great positive news stories that included the fact that South Korea now has more recoveries from the coronavirus than new infections. And also that in China, parks have reopened and the temporary hospitals that they set up have now closed. They're no longer required. And also in China, tourist attractions have reopened. You know, because this whole thing really started in China, you know, they're ahead of us and they're starting to see things changing now in a positive direction. So that gives us hope that in a couple of months, we will be seeing our lives changing and beginning to return back to normal as well. So the fourth way is to visualize normality again. So remember the quote, "This too shall pass." So start to visualize, be able to hug your friends again. Visualize coming out of this and everyone is safe and everyone is well. Visualize going back and working in an office again if you're working from home right now. Visualize the schools reopening. Visualize being able to go back into a pub or a restaurant. Visualize being able to book a flight overseas and then be able to travel overseas or internationally again. This is really easy to do because we know what these are all like. It's not like we're trying to visualize something that we've not experienced before. So this is actually a really good way to practice and start getting good at creative visualization. So I encourage you to just take a few minutes, just close your eyes and just start visualizing how life used to be, but visualizing it as if it's in the future. So the fifth way is to remind yourself that you are okay right now. A lot of the fear and anxiety comes from worrying about the future and what might happen. But right now, you are okay. So right now, I'm assuming that you're healthy, that you have enough food. I'm also assuming that you're working and you're earning money. I realize that some people may not be right now. If you are working, maybe you're enjoying working from home and you're getting the benefits of that. Maybe you have your partner with you, so you're having more time with your partner than maybe you would have before. Maybe you're having more time with your family, your kids, because they're all at home right now. So just knowing that right now everything is okay at the moment, and almost like living just one day at a time, which is kind of what I've been doing for the last few days. So the sixth way to reduce this coronavirus fear and to feel more hopeful is to realize that you do have some control. So what I recommend you do is ask yourself 3 questions. What can I not control? What can I influence? And what can I directly control? So let's start with what you can't control. So we can't control the fact that schools have closed, pubs and restaurants have closed, the fact that you may be working from home and you've got the kids around you and you're trying to keep them happy as well. You can't control the fact that you can't travel at the moment, you're stuck at home. Maybe you have relatives like I do in the other side of the world in the UK that I can't go to see at the moment, so I have no control over that. And then ask yourself, well, what can you influence? So I can influence my mindset about what I can't control. So every situation, we have events, so the coronavirus is an event, but we also have the meaning that we give to those events, so I can control that. I can also influence the health and well-being of those people around me. Then ask yourself, what can you control? So you can control doing all the things to minimize the chance of you getting infected and also minimizing the chances of other people getting infected. So that's all the recommendations that the World Health Organization has given. So the washing the hands, the social distancing, the staying at home as much as possible. Also, you can look after yourself by making sure you get plenty of sleep. I would say getting more sleep than you normally do at the moment. That's what I'm doing. Also by exercising more regularly, reducing stress as much as you can, and basically using this as an opportunity for self-care and for self-love. So really looking after yourself as much as you can. If you have a business, like I have my hypnotherapy business here in Sydney, not surprisingly, very few people want to see me in person at the moment, but I do online sessions. So that's something I'm going to expand and do more of that. And for me, it could be the real opportunity to do a lot more of that and maybe make that the main way that people actually see me in the future. So if you have some kind of business, look at the opportunities to do things different, do things virtually, use the internet much more. So there's lots of things there that you can do as well. So the 7th way to help reduce your fear of this coronavirus and have more hope is to help others. Now this one might seem a little counterintuitive, but bear with me on this one. So I feel in reality that 99% of us are going to be okay. We might be a little sick for a few days, but we're going to get through this without any real issues. Health-wise, the vast majority of us have really got nothing to worry about. However, there is a small minority, maybe 1 or 2%, that do have something to worry about. Maybe because their immune system is compromised, because they have another type of illness, maybe they're suffering from cancer. Maybe it's just because they're elderly. So there are some people that really do have something to worry about. So what I invite you to do is think about the people in your life that could be vulnerable to this, and then decide what kind gestures or kind actions you could do to help these people, or at least let them know that you're thinking about them. And there's actually some selfish benefits to this. Firstly, when you're thinking about other people, it gets you out of your own head. So you're thinking less about your own worries and your own anxieties. And secondly, and this has been proved recently by neuroscience, that when you're thinking kind thoughts and you're helping other people, this actually sends positive chemicals. It's almost like a shot of health into your body, and this can now be biologically measured. So there's actually some quite big benefits to you in being kind and helping others. So look at who might be vulnerable and see how you could help those people. So number 8, and the last one, is to change your perception on how you are acting now. Now, fundamentally, any behavior or action that we do is for one of two reasons. It's either to move us towards pleasure, or it is to move us away from pain. So take the simple act of washing your hands. At the moment, we're spending a lot of time washing our hands for 20 seconds. So when you are washing your hands, think about why you're doing this. So are you doing this to promote wellness, to promote health, to promote cleanliness? If you're thinking that way, then that's moving you towards pleasure. Now, if you're washing your hands because you're afraid of getting the virus or you're afraid of spreading it to others, then that's more acting out of fear. So it's the same action, but it's different feelings that are fueling the action. Now, I'm hearing stories of people that have the coronavirus but have no symptoms. And for me, this is very intriguing, but also quite scary as well, because it could mean that I've got it without knowing about it. It could mean that any of you have got it without knowing about it as well. So a great thing you could do, this is like a bonus tip you can try on if you wish, is to basically assume that you have the coronavirus and make all your decisions and actions based on the fact that you already have it and you want to do everything possible to prevent that being spread to anyone else. So try it on for size. Notice, even if you just do it for a day, just notice how differently you think and act if you believe that you already have the coronavirus. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's given you some hope and a feeling that there is light at the end of the tunnel. As mentioned earlier in the video, I encourage you to download my coronavirus checklist. This is a list of things that you can do right now to stay well mentally, emotionally and physically. To get hold of this checklist, go to selfhelpforlife.com/coronavirus or click the first link in the description below or in the show notes if you're listening to the podcast version. So I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I look forward to sharing more great content with you very soon. Bye for now.